humans like conversations that keep moving forward. Every time we share some detail about ourselves, we expect the other person to remember. If they bring that detail back up at our next interaction, we feel pleased and we want to keep the conversation going. Conversely, we get annoyed when they blast us with messages that we told them already we are not interested in. Hey, Glenn here. Whether you are returning or you're a first-time listener, welcome to Funnel Reboot. This is severely problematic for us sales and marketing professionals. The sheer volume of people and details we all encounter is too much for our outbound emails, let alone in our heads. And that's why we use CRMs. But there are many CRMs out there, and to fit a business, they need to be customized. And that's where our guest comes in. A graduate of CalState in information systems, he worked in data analyst roles for several tech companies, including a customer relationship management company that sold to enterprise. Wanting to work more with solopreneurs and small businesses, he decided to go out on his own as a CRM consultant to show them sustainable relationship building techniques. Suffice to say, he's able to deliver immediate benefits using this model. He also has a passion for coaching people in nutrition, which explains why both components are blended together in the name of his business, The Healthy Data Guy. Let's go to Laguna Beach, California to speak with Brandon Drake. Brandon Drake, welcome to Funnel Reboot.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So, Brandon, we're going to talk about CRMs, and you have a very interesting past with that. We'll get to that in a minute, but I want to first ask you, did CRMs always mean to you what they do right now?
No,
You're pretty
definitely.
deep into CRMs now. So
Yeah.
what changed?
Yeah. So I went to school for technology, business systems analysis, which is basically organizing systems, organizing databases and preparing things for the long term, like creating systems for the long term, not for the short term. And so when I went to the corporate world, I got really burnt out in the technology field. I was a data migration specialist for a CRM company, and they were inputting all these unrealistic quotas out of us. And because of that, I was for 6 months straight, I was probably working on average between 10 to 12 hours a day. And I said to myself, man, I don't want to do this. This is not fun anymore. I don't like technology. And for probably 4 or 5 months, I was trying to figure out what do I want to do next because this is not what I wanted to do. And so after I saved my money up and quit my job and I went to culinary school and functional nutrition school, I became a therapeutic personal chef and a functional nutritionist, and I enjoyed this work because it was not transactional anymore like it was in the corporate experience or the corporate experience that I went through. I really enjoyed getting to know people, understanding their challenges, and building something that's right for them, whether it's me cooking for them, meal planning for them, or coaching them, or all the above, depending on their needs. And I really enjoyed that relationship building process. And through that process, I was always using technology in the background, but never like telling people I was a service provider anymore. I was a service provider in the health space, and I enjoyed that. But through networking, I really enjoyed networking. And that's when I discovered the power of networking and using my CRM skills to keep track of all my contacts, whether it's my networking partners, my customers, and my prospects. And one day, about maybe 5.5 years ago, one of my really good networking partners based in Canada, he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I like the way you use your CRM, and I see it from my perspective, but I want to know if I could hire you as a CRM consultant so you could teach me how to use a CRM, teach my team, and build out custom components for us." So he threw me off guard when he asked me that. And so I told him, "Look, I really enjoy my work today, and I left the corporate world not to do this type of work." We worked together. And during the process of working together, I realized, wow, this is fun again because it wasn't transactional. It was truly a relational type of environment where I was getting to know him and his team, building out components for him and training him and his team. And I enjoyed that process. And because we work well together and we like working together, actually, we ended up working for 3.5 months instead of 1 month, like I told him.
Yep.
And so what happened is, after that 3.5 months, he no longer needed me anymore, but for good reason. It's because I did a good job for him. I trained him and his team where they were self-sufficient. I enjoy that. That's what I did in the health space. I really like helping people so they could fend for themselves. And so after that, I didn't think anything of it. I said, great. I did a good job for him. I was happy. I went back 100% to the health space. But then he started referring me business for more CRM clients, which I didn't ask for. So I naturally created a business by doing a good job for him.
Yeah.
I said, I'll take on this work. That's fine. So I took on the work. And so to my surprise, I actually chose being a CRM consultant. And I told my networking partners, hey, I'm going back to technology. All of them supported me because they knew me. And you know why? Because I was using a CRM to nurture the relationship with them. So the CRM was still the backbone of my skill set because they still supported me because I was nurturing them. And some of them became my customers because they already knew, liked, and trusted me. And they already seen how I was using CRMs from their perspective.
Yeah.
In a way, I was already creating value without knowing it.
Right.
And so that's what brought me back. And the thing that brought me back to as well is when I was in the corporate world, it was very transactional, and I just thought that that's the way it is, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't want to be part of being a tech provider anymore.
Okay.
But when I work with Mark, it really changed my whole like mindset of, oh, I could do technology in a relationship driven way. I really like that. And then when I changed careers, I thought about it and I said, what I used to do in the health space is actually similar to what I do in the technology space today. The way that I work is similar. It was all about getting to know the client, understanding their challenges, and building something that's tailored for them so they could reach their health goals. And on the
Right.
technology side, it's the same thing, getting to know my client,
Right.
understanding their challenges, and building a custom solution to reach their business goals or their CRM goals. So I realized it didn't matter what skill set I had, I like that process. And that's why I'm truly a relationship driven CRM professional who really believes in using CRMs to strengthen human connection in the digital age. That's what I care about.
There are a whole lot of people listening who are in a marketing or maybe a sales role, or maybe they're a small business owner, so they're all that rolled into one. And I bet they can identify with falling out of love with a CRM system and
Mhm.
just finding it to be a grind, data entry, all the reports. And it's amazing to hear that we can fall in love with CRM. It's been around for a long time. So
Yeah.
there's kind of two aspects to this. The first is maybe in the last couple of years, there have been some new things that have happened with the functionality that can be better for us. But another thing is it sounds like we can use CRM, and even though it's coming across as an email or maybe an SMS to the prospect, it sounds like they can even detect a difference, like we can improve how we are having a relationship with them when we are using a CRM. And that I think is something new. I don't think the old style big iron CRM world ever thought that people would notice. Like the CRM was supposed to be invisible, but it sounds like if we're doing things, they're going to notice a difference. They may not know why, but they do notice that we are better facilitating a relationship with them, right?
Mhm.
How are we doing that? Most packages don't do that out of the box. I gather we have to have
Correct.
frameworks and we have to have
A
some
framework and
deliberate
customization.
purpose in how we
Mhm.
set it up, right?
Correct.
Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
So for me, I am my own test dummy.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I try all the different strategies within my CRM, and the things that don't work, I don't share. The things that work really well, I share that with my client, but also too, I modify it according to their business type and their personality type and their audience. But behind the scenes or the strategy is always relationship first.
Yep.
Give value first. So the thing is, when I meet a prospect, I'll take you through that journey. I meet a prospect, we have a conversation, we both understand that we're a good fit. 99% of the time, the person is not going to buy right away, and that's okay. I'm fine with it. The thing is, there could be like 20 of those same people that have that same mindset where they're not ready yet. They like what I do, they see the value in it, but they're just not ready for whatever reason. But once I know that that's fine, I nurture them in my
Yep.
and that nurturing is automated. I've already pre-built a lot of the emails, but it's in a way that's relationship driven and give value first. It's basically like they'll get emails like for example, the first 4 emails are every 7 days. After that, every 30 days because I don't want to inundate them with so much information that they unsubscribe and they get turned off and they just don't want to buy from me, you know? And also too, the content of the email. The email is basically giving them tips on the benefits of a CRM as it relates to business efficiency and operations. Every business
Yeah.
owner wants to know how to do more in an efficient manner. So I'm going to provide them tips based on like great like tips related to CRMs and business efficiency. A lot of times those people will respond to an email and be like, "Hey, that's a really interesting thing. I didn't know that." And then that's when the human takes over and I reply to them. And also too, in every one of my emails, there's always a call to action. If you have any questions, feel free to reply to me or book a meeting with me. Sometimes those 20 out of those 20 clients, maybe 10 of them will eventually get back to me in 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, whatever. I have a nurturing campaign that's already set for 3 years ahead. So I'm way ahead of the game. So sometimes those people buy 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, 2 weeks later, just because they're in my nurturing campaign already. You know, and it's all about providing value, not being salesy, not saying things like, oh, the sale ends tomorrow, buy now. They're not going to buy. I want to provide value and I want to provide something that's going to be useful to them. And in return, when they see that value, when they're ready for it, they'll get back to me on their own terms, and that's fine.
Wow. So 3 years, I mean, marketers are probably reeling right now thinking of how much content they have to deliver. And
And
I,
the content that I deliver is based on all the questions people ask me about CRMs, whether it's my networking partners, my customers, or my prospects. When somebody asks me a
right.
question, I put it in my to-do list and say, hey, I'm going to write a blog article about it. I'm going to put it into my newsletter. I'm going to put it into my nurturing campaign for my CRM prospects. So the content is already created by all the questions that people ask me all the time. I have a list of 30 or 40 questions that I haven't created blog articles about, that I haven't created assets about. So there's unlimited number of content to create based on not what I think, but what my customers, prospects, and
Right.
that's crowdsourced. Exactly. That's the best content. Listen to your audience.
I guess there's also a filter, and this may not be true for everybody, but some people will have more than one group, and those groups are quite different from each other. So either, maybe some are B2B, some are B2C, it's whatever, industry, geography, could be anything. So we've got to figure out as we're trying to put them into a nurturing campaign, what they want. And if we're in that kind of case, I know that you're a fan of collecting some information. You're definitely giving value when you're getting, but you've got some hacks for ways that we can collect information really early in order to help us say the right thing to them. Can you tell us about that?
So when I'm talking to somebody, I have multiple CRM solutions in my tool belt.
Yep.
So obviously they'll tell me, I'll listen to them, get to know what their budget and their business is, and then I'll determine what CRM solution is a good fit for them. I'll talk to them about it. They seem interested. Okay, that's the case. Great. Then I'll send them information regarding that specific CRM that they're interested in. Okay, not the other three that I have in my tool belt.
Right.
And so yeah, that's how it gets targeted. I have a different types of contact types like networking partners. Some of my networking partners are prospects as well. But when I have a meeting with a networking partner who might turn into a prospect down the line, after I meet with them for the first time, I send them an email and I say, hey, in order for me to support you better, I need you to save your brief bio in my CRM so I could refer to it and connect you to the right people. I send them an email, they click on a link, it opens up a form that's connected to my CRM. The CRM form asks for their brief bio, their target market, strategic partners, pain points they could solve. When they hit submit, it saves to my CRM. I get notified. I'll look at the information. And then from there, I'll search my CRM database to see who I could connect them with based on what they're looking for. And because I have a database of like thousands of people that have submitted their bio into my CRM, now I have a searchable, usable,
Right.
first party data only that belongs to me database that allows me to provide value to people. So when somebody says they're looking for somebody that is SEO and AI, I could find that in my database because I have thousands of people that have inputted into to my CRM. So now I see the search results, I can make that connection to them and they remember me. And because they remember me, they're like, wow, you have a really good system there. And eventually they say, how did you go about doing that? And I tell them my framework within my CRM. And then sometimes they get sold because they want to implement that same functionality within their CRM as well. So I provide that service and I build that for them and I customize it according to what their needs are. Some people just want my existing framework and I migrate it into their system and check it out to make sure it works. or they want a little bit more customization, and that's fine too. It just depends on their needs. So again, I'm providing value by giving them proper connections that are going to be useful for their business. And in return, when they see that value, they'll definitely remember me. They'll either remember me and give me referrals, or they'll remember me and they say, hey, I want to do that within my CRM too as well. Could I hire you? No matter
Yeah.
what, business comes out of it.
I can imagine that small businesses, people within them are hearing this, and what you're demonstrating is a purpose of saying, I as a human want to help you as another human.
Mhm.
And whether we do business together or not, there's something I can bring to you. So
Mhm.
having them fill in a little bit of information in that bio and having you then follow up and say, hey, I know somebody, here's a LinkedIn connect. It's a way for you to
Yeah.
provide real help, but you've also in return, you've got the network effect going. Your
Yeah.
database, it's like the phone system. Each additional node on that database
Mhm.
makes the whole database better. So I
Yeah.
love that. Now, within each person that you're adding, there's also let's call it a depth of data that you are growing. And this is progressive profiling, where, for example, with me, I think we, started off and there were some pieces of information I gave you when we talked. And then I got an email from you saying, hey, I would appreciate also having this part of your contact details. And, that could be a text number, it could be a LinkedIn profile, whatever. But there's a better chance of being able to keep in touch with a person. Maybe they change companies, so that email address is gone. You've got ways of staying in their orbit if you are gathering more information. But it seems like we have to think about setting up workflows and asking for that information and doing it not in a obtrusive way.
Yeah, I have that. I've implemented that. I've implemented that for my networking partners. So when I meet somebody for the first time, obviously, we have a good conversation. If they're filtered into my system, meaning I want to get to know, like, and trust them even better.
Yep,
Like, obviously, I send them that first initial email to fill out their professional bio. And here's the thing, they get 35 days to fill out their bio, and within that 35 days, there's two reminders. It's in a workflow. If they don't do it, they get negative engagement score points in my CRM. That's just basically a signal to me that they're not really serious about a mutual partnership, because I can't help you unless you help me. I can't help you unless you put in your bio into my CRM so I can look out for you to see who I could connect you with. So obviously, I have a scoring system in my CRM based on how engaging somebody is. So if they're opening emails, replying to emails, submitting their bio in a form, giving me referrals, subscribing, unsubscribing, all those activities are associated with positive and negative points. So over time, I can see which people are truly serious about engaging with me. And because I see the people that have a high score, I'm going to make sure to match their energy and engage with them to make sure I contribute to their business, because we're matching each other's energy and there's going to be a mutual partnership, as opposed to the people that aren't really into it. They might talk a good game, but they're really not about it because it shows up in the numbers, you know? And also too, like, after I meet with them, if I like them, I enroll them into my workflow. I call it networking nurture. So in 28 days, they usually get an email. Hey, how's it going? Just want to know if there's any new updates for you to share with me, or anything you're looking out for. Also, too, if you want to reconnect with me, here's my link to my calendar.
sure.
Or also, too, if you made any changes to your business, click here to update your profile in my CRM, because I always need the most updated information so I can make better connections for you. So after that email in 28 days, they get another email every 60 or so days, because I don't want to be to the point of annoyance. I just want to check in every now and then, because I want to reconnect and have that human connection where we have another meeting. Or if they just want to update their bio, when they update the bio, I get notified via email. I look at that email, I look at their bio, and then I can make a connection. Sometimes if I have time, I make a connection as soon as they update the bio right away. And they're like, oh, you're so fast. It's because I have a framework and a system in place that allows me to do that. And because of that, I'm remembered. It's another top of mind strategy. Like, this is my marketing strategy, but it's a fun marketing strategy because I'm connecting good people to other good people. And because of
Yep.
that, people remember me and they want to reciprocate. So that creates business for me.
An announcement for all the book readers here. Let me welcome you to the new reading room. The question I kept getting asked from people: what marketing book should I read? Sadly, I wasn't able to give a good answer because it depends highly on your individual career journey. But what I did have was over 100 curated talks with the authors of recent bestsellers. So a chatbot was trained on all those books, and now you can talk to the reading room's BookBot. Tell it what you're looking for. It'll recommend a book that will help you overcome whatever marketing challenge you're having. Just go to the Funnel Reboot website and look to the top menu to access the reading room. Now let's get back to the show.
We have to think more broadly than, will I be doing business with this person in the next 90 days? And sadly, too many of us have that tunnel vision. And you've taken a wider view saying, yeah, there's possible business there, but maybe not, but maybe I can do other things for them.
Exactly.
Right? We just don't know where it's going to come from, but we let the automation take care of those mundane things. So like you said, when you notice that they've had a change, you can hop right on that. You can seem responsive. That's the human only Brandon that steps in, and those back-end processes that are watching, is it 27 days, 28 days? That's all happening. Now, I gather there's logic in the workflows too, where if somebody does reply to you on something, your
Human comes into play.
right. Okay, don't email them right now. Brandon's actually talking with them.
Yeah, it depends on the automation, but yeah,
Right.
some automations get suppressed, some automations continue to go. It just depends on the contact type, who they are, what they're interested in, whether it's a networking partnership, what CRM they're interested in. All these different factors will determine like what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Now, you brought up things like scores, like the engagement score. So talk to us a little bit about what the hallmarks are of a CRM system that has metrics that are dialed in for what the business is trying to do. And I know
It's going to be different for all
in
across the
each
board
business,
because
but
when I,
what are some of the common ones that you see? Or if you don't see any of this type, you're like, okay, these guys need work.
I mean, the most common ones are open email, reply to email, submitted form, submitted survey. And then you can get more specific, like if they submitted a specific form or a specific survey, you could give them more points because maybe that's a lead generation form where it's asking them questions regarding their business and they answered it. And because they answered it, you want to give that person more points because of the form that they filled out. So it doesn't have to be just a general form. It could be a specific form. Like I said, a specific form related to a prospect who actually answered those questions that like, oh, this person's really interested in my services because they filled out this form. For example, I put people in a nurturing campaign for my CRM prospects. I have multiple different types of prospects. But if they open up the email, they reply to the email, those people in that specific lead nurturing will get assigned more points because those are prospects that can be customers. And also too, not only that, like you could have a general lead scoring where it's like if any form is filled out, give them X points. But then you can get more specific. If a specific form is filled out, give them this amount of points, you know? And also too, not only is a system scoring them with actual numbers, but also too, like I'm scoring them as a human as well. So it creates a more of a holistic score. So I say holistic score because the system is measuring their behaviors based on the criteria that I implement in the CRM, but also too, based on me interacting with them, I'm assigning them keywords associated with them, otherwise known as tags. So example, I have a set number of tags in my CRM that are associated with positive and negative points. For example, a keyword could be salesy, negative points, obviously. You know, genuine, friendly, business savvy, you know, community oriented. Those are some of the keywords that are associated with positive points. So not only is the system grading them, but I'm grading them, and those keywords are hooked into points, negative or positive points. So now you have a holistic score of that particular individual. It doesn't matter if they're a prospect customer, as long as they're in their CRM, they're being scored. So over time, I could actually look at my list and sort them by engagement score and only show preference to those people that have a higher score because those are the people that are really interested in what I do. If they're a prospect or really interested in communicating with me and collaborating with me, if they're a networking partner. And again, I have a whole list of segmentation in order to categorize people. And I have so much, probably the most foundational piece of building a CRM is to make sure you categorize and segment your list accordingly. Because when you send email marketing, you want to make sure it's more targeted because if you do the spray and pray marketing, people are going to unsubscribe. You don't even need to send messages to people that are related to that specific CRM that are only interested in that specific topic because you're going to get more engagement.
Yeah, I think the unlock there is we've been habituated by the email service providers of thinking, I'm going to write it once and I'm going to blast it once.
Yeah.
This is completely different, but you're doing the same steps. You just have to, in your mind, say, I'm writing this for Brandon, and I know exactly who Brandon is. I've spoken with him not only through email, but on Zoom calls, and, in cases I meet him at a real world networking event. So I absolutely feel like I've got a very good grasp on Brandon,
Yeah.
and I'm writing that email. This is the vibe that I'm using to write to him
Yes.
right now. However, I'm only going to send that email out to people like Brandon
Yes.
when they fit the exact criteria. So I don't,
Correct.
I need to banish from my mind that it was good that I sent out 500 emails today. That could be meaningless. What I need to think of is, did one email go out to the right individual? And I could have written it 3 years ago, but it was exactly what they needed at that time and for who they were.
Yeah, and you could write such a good email that they think you just emailed it to them.
Right. Yes.
So that's when you do know you're doing really good email marketing, when that person thinks that you just send it to them. You could tell when somebody sends your email that it was mass email. If you do spray and pray, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look at it and be like, why did this person send this to me? Some people will ignore it or they will mark it as spam.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When they ignore it or mark it as spam, if you continue to do this, your email reputation goes down. Now, the ESPs, otherwise known as the email service providers, will look at that, they'll downgrade you, and then they'll basically relegate you to spam folders and promotion folders. And now you have ruined your email reputation. It's kind of like your credit card score.
Yeah.
Also, too, when you buy like cold lists from people, when you send them an email, those people are not going to know who the hell you are. You haven't established a relationship with them. A lot of people are probably going to unsubscribe or not open it up. Therefore, your email reputation is going to go down. So those are things that are just faux pas to do, especially when it comes to email marketing. I need to make sure that when I'm sending emails from my CRM, I need to maintain my email reputation so that my email goes into people's primary inboxes, not into their spam or promotions folder.
I think an even more common one is just letting information get stale. I think it's important for us to build in a little bit of like we do with our going and working out. We need to have a little bit of a regimen to check our data regularly. If we have not been keeping in touch with people, we should be, hey, I noticed you moved off to that new job. Okay. Or if we see something going by in our LinkedIn feed about that, go to the CRM, get it up to date. It pays off when your automations are delivering stuff to the right person at that time. I want to ask about AI. We're in an age where we're starting to see people saying that AI agents, can take automation to the next level and that we can get hyper personalized. I'm interested in knowing, Brandon, do you have any views on that? Do you think that CRM is a good fit for that?
Yeah, so a lot of the CRMs in my tool belt that are on my approved list are all embedding and adding AI components into their CRM. So they're adapting,
Yep.
just like everybody else needs to adapt, or you're gonna get left in the dust. I'm sorry, but like that's why I like technology, because I like change and I like continual change, and I picked the right industry. I like learning daily. I like learning all the new things that are going on with the CRMs in my tool belt so that I could provide more value to my clients. So the other thing I love about technology is the reason why I love technology is because it allows you to streamline operations, to be more efficient, to give you more free time to be human. So whether it's automations, whether it's AI, now you have the responsibility to have more time to engage with your customers, prospects, and business partners and showcase your personality and your engagement, because that is your biggest differentiator in your business. That's why I like CRMs. And yes, I use AI tools behind the scenes as well, but allows me to have more time to engage with my customers, prospects, and business partners. And me engaging with them is going to showcase my differentiation, because that is my biggest differentiating factor in my business. So I am not a AI specialist. However, I do look at different tools and use them a lot. Okay. But I know other AI professionals in my network. About a month ago, I met a lady. She has a PhD in AI. So I picked her brain, and
Yep.
by me surrounding myself with very smart people in the AI space, I know I am not an AI specialist. I am an AI specialist for me and my business, but not for other people. So when people ask me things like, I'm not going to recommend you anything, you need to talk to an AI specialist that I know, that I have in my tool belt, because the way I treat my clients is very personalized, and that's the way that she does her AI advising and consulting. So that's why I like talking to those people. And with AI, like AI is like the protein of the technology.
There's our
Everybody
health
in the
angle
health space
coming.
always talks about protein all the
Sure.
time, all the time. Everybody's talking about AI. And so when I was talking to a lot of people in the AI space that are my networking partners, the one thing that I got from them is there's so many people that want AI, but there's so many people that aren't ready for AI because they don't have a documented process within their business. There's no documentation so that you could train that AI accordingly. And if you want to run AI without the right documentation in your business, your AI is going to fail. People are gonna not
Or
going to
bad.
because it's
Yeah.
not going to answer questions appropriately, and people are going to be unhappy about it. So you only are going to be ready for AI when you have a good documented process within your business. If you don't have that,
Yeah.
don't even. And I'm big on documentation and processes and procedures. The main thing is I have a foundation, I have processes in place, I have documentation in place, and because of that, you can train your AI to be your second half or your second better half or whatever you want to call it.
Some people then are needed in the marketing function or the marketing ops function just to work on the CRM for things like lead capture and for not only generating leads, but also nurturing them and then handing them off. Brandon, I think you'd agree with me. If they've figured out how to get faster at doing the things that they need to with the CRM and it goes over to sales, they should reinvest the time that is freed up to actually sit and talk with sales to find out how, on a human level, we can make things better for the people that are actually the prospects, like the marketing, who doesn't get that frontline person-to-person interaction, that they can get some of the goodness out of what the sales are telling them so that that frontline information can be turned into insights on making the marketing better.
Yep, I agree.
Hey, Brandon, if people want to find out more about you, find out where you do it, and I guess best of all, find out how they can get into contact with you to see firsthand the kind of stuff that you do through a CRM, where should they go?
Yeah, easydatagaguy.com. That's the best place to contact me. I have a contact form. I have all my information there if you want to set up an appointment with me or email me. So yeah, health
Lots of
plan.
stuff, including videos that people who have worked with you can tell people, this is my circumstance, this is what I've got going now. So that's all there. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks again for listening all the way to the end. Get more insight into your marketing so that you can make it even better.
Thanks for listening. Follow the show on Twitter @Funnel Reboot. If you like what you have heard today, please consider leaving a review wherever you get your podcasts.